from the i3 support facility, and I would like to welcome you to our fourth virtual event. A quick notice, so meeting will be recorded and materials will be available to you on i3 support facility website. If you do not wish to be recorded, you can leave the meeting now and view the recording later at your convenience. These events are part of our periodic virtual event series, and our current virtual event is about the financial support to SMEs in i3 Instrument and practical application. We strongly encourage you to actively participate in this event and to join our next event as well. And if we can move to the next slide, I believe we have information about the next event. You cannot hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So our next virtual event, event number 5, is actually next week, and it is about fostering joint innovation investments across EU regions. Same time, same day next week. More information and registration is with the QR code here. And our team will also share with you both the registration to the upcoming event here in chat and also registration to be part of our database of i3 support community to join and get the invitation to all our upcoming events. I will now like to pass the word to our i3 support facility coordinator, Santiago Donat. And in the meantime, before he starts speaking, we can start the recording. Please, Santiago.
Thanks, Justina. I will give a short presentation of the support facility and the services we are providing, but let me first introduce the i3 instrument in the next slide. As you know, the i3 instrument is the answer or the proposal of the European Commission in the period 21-27 to promote interregional collaboration in innovation. The objective is to promote the seek of complementarities between regions to complement strengths or weaknesses in your region with other strengths from other regions, insert smart specialization areas with the objective of building value chains and at the end increase the competitiveness of companies and SMEs. In this regard, as you can see, i3 Instrument provides support to consortiums from different regions to test, pilot, develop technologies and bring innovation close to market, and also providing advisory service for financing and investments, but also on the other hand, also tries to help regions and stakeholders to build the needed capacities to participate successfully in this interregional collaboration. In the next slide, you will see that after the first calls, partners and consortiums from more developed regions or transition regions or usual participants were in the proposals, but the program had few participation from less developed regions, especially from the Eastern Europe, and also outermost regions look like not attached to these networks. So in this case, there is a strong case for a support facility to contribute to the objectives of the i3 instrument, that is the uptake of the i3 instrument itself, more proposals, more investments, but also to help those with less possibilities to participate in this i3 instrument with better conditions. As you know, this is supported by ERDF and has this regional aspect. In the next slide, you see very fast the objective of this support facility is the strengthen or the development of these interregional ecosystems, are building these value chains through these interregional collaborations, and there are some objectives. The stakeholders of the i3 support facility are public authorities in the regions, and the objective is to help them to promote the instrument and create the conditions to gather and stimulate as much as possible the stakeholders in the regions, to also the innovation stakeholders, of course. And also DG Regio and ISME are very interested to learn from this support facility and have feedback from the projects, from the services we are providing to improve policy and keep improving also the instruments. In the next slide, I will introduce the support facility. Is a project for 3 years that was tendered by DG Regio and ISMEA last year, and now is being hosted by 9 partners, as you can see here. And in the next slide, you will see our approach to the support facility. We have 3 big areas. One is knowledge generation. We are building an I3 observatory where it will be possible to visualize all projects of I3 projects, but also investments in interregional collaboration from other sources. Also, we are going to produce an annual report on the I3 Observatory, which will be very important for DG Regio to help to shape the policy. We are also building a partner search platform where you will be able to find partners by topic, by region, that fits your interest for future calls. And also we are working, well, the Policy Lab is already launched, where we are promoting the discussion, the change of ideas around certain topics in different discussion groups. Every year we are going to have 3 discussion groups, and every year we will launch the expression of interest to participate in these 3 discussion groups about certain topics like coordination with managing authorities, dynamization of ecosystems or creation of value chains, different topics that are related to interregional collaboration. Then in the next slide, knowledge sharing. We are working on, of course, management and the creation of content with publications in the website, in social network, etc. Preparing a repository of good practices we are currently working on. And also we will launch newsletters, publications, handbooks about how to participate in I3 projects. Everything after these 6 first months is everything being prepared. In the next slide, we have also our approach is to outreaching, exchange and networking. We are preparing having virtual events like this one, but also in-person events, mainly the annual I3 Instrument Forum we will have this year in September, but also regional and national events where we will promote the instrument in those places hosted by interested regions or countries. And then we are also creating this Capacity Building Heroes working group where participants in the Strand 2B, the capacity building projects, will meet, exchange, and look for synergies as well. This is our approach. A bit of promotion. The annual I3 Instrument Forum will be in 24th of September this year, and it will be a high-level political event because it is important to showcase the results, the impact, what is working in the I3 instrument in the view of next programming period, and also some testimonials and share of good practice will happen this day. Also, in the next slide, just to finish, another networking activities. We're going to Lithuania at the end of May, also in Croatia to be confirmed. And also we are in the preparation of a list of candidates for next year to host these regional workshops where we have these dedicated promotion meetings about the I3 instrument. And the last slide is just to animate you to enter in the website of ISMEA where we are currently. We are developing a full complete website that is still on process, hopefully being launched in June. And please subscribe to the community, as many of you are, and you will be informed of all the news, all the products we will produce, and also about the virtual events, newsletters, and everything. And that's it. That's everything from my side. And now I would like to pass the floor to Roberta Dall'Olio. Many of you may know her as her former role as director of EURADA, and now she's part of the team of EURADA that will generally moderate and present the speakers today. Thank you. Please, Roberta.
Thank you so much, Santiago. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm really happy to meet you and to welcome our distinguished speakers. And also, I'm honored to be part of this adventure of the I3 support facilities together with the colleagues and with you. We are almost 112 people, so welcome to our participants, first of all. Then please let me warmly welcome our speakers. And let me briefly introduce them. Even if I guess that many of you, being already part of this I3 community, are already familiar with Mrs. Valentina Pinna from ISMEA, who's the program and project advisor. She, together with Milena Stoyanova, who was project advisor in ISMEA, will provide us with a comprehensive and interesting presentation on funding support to third parties, which is the topic of this meeting, or so-called cascade funding in the I3 projects. They will explain us the application rules and the rationale of this specific action. Afterwards, after this introduction, they will be followed by the presentation of some practical cases. We have the representative of 3 different I3 projects, which are at different stage of implementation in specific as far as FSTP and cascade funding is concerned. So we will have the project DEREMCO, which will be presented by Professor Daiani from the Milan Polytechnic, and by Adelaide Moscatelli from Meta Group. After the DEREMCO presentation, it will be followed by the InShape case study, which will be introduced by Paula Gallego Hernandez and Ángel Freire Astral, representing the Generalidad de Catalunya, and also Axio, which is, and they are the leader of the project. Axio is the regional development agency of Catalonia. Then we will finally discover the very interesting and challenging experience of the I4Green project, which will be presented by Adriana Gutierrez Garcia, representing the leader partner ICAMSIL of the project. Each speaker, then I will stop to talk and give the floor to the first speaker, will have more or less 5 minutes to make their presentation. And if the participants, as we will also explain better during the discussion, have any questions, please introduce yourself and make the question. Maybe it would be good if you write it on the chat, and then so that you can allow us to better filter or merge the questions to the speakers, to the right speaker. In any case, you know that after the presentation, as per the agenda, of the 3 practical cases and of the introduction by ISMEA, you will have more or less 10 minutes for further interactive discussion. Thank you so much. So let me give the floor to Valentina Pinna, who will be, if I'm not wrong, the first speaker from ISMEA, talking about and explaining I3 and its rationale.
Hello, everybody. My colleague Milena Stoyanova will start, and I will take over the presentation in the middle, and then she will conclude with tips and tricks.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Valentina. Thank you, Roberta, and thanks for inviting me here today. I'm really happy to be with all of you to share some information, some tips, some experiences related to financial support to third parties. As you understood, I will be presenting together with my dear colleague Valentina Pina, who is very knowledgeable, who will come to explain what really works for i3 and what doesn't. But before that, let's first start with some more general definitions and reminders, especially for those of you who are less familiar with the topic. What is the financial support to third parties? What is this cascade funding? This is a funding mechanism implemented by the grant beneficiaries to select recipients that are not part of the grant agreement. Here already we have one very important detail, meaning that the participants, the direct beneficiaries of the grant, they can't be recipients of financial support to third parties. Next slide, please. What is the legal basis for the financial support to third parties? We can't just decide like that. Yes, I like financial support to third parties. I will apply to my project. No, there is a legal basis, and this is actually our Bible, which is the financial regulation applicable to the general budget of the Union and its rules of procedures. The latest version comes from last year, from September 2024. And the financial regulation comes to highlight the fact that the actions may involve financial support to third parties only if this is explicitly allowed in the work program or in a call. This article also comes to underline the three conditions that must be, the three elements that must be absolutely present in the grant agreements if beneficiaries want to apply the financial support to third parties. And these three elements are the maximum amount that would be provided per third party, the different types of activities that may receive such funding. And the third one is the definition of the persons or the categories of persons that would be eligible to receive financial support to third parties. You'll see later on that our module grant agreement for i3 will come to further complement this list of elements that must be present in the grant agreement. And when I say the grant agreement, of course, I mean also in all proposals, because when the proposal is successful, it automatically would become part of a grant agreement. Next slide, please. Is it possible to use financial support to third parties in i3? As we said, financial regulation says that we can only if the work program or the call mentions that this is possible. And here we are lucky in i3. The investment calls, all investment calls, if INV1 and INV2A calls, they in them, the applicants, they have the possibility to include financial support to third parties in form of cascade funding. When I say that they have the possibility, I wish to underline this, because the financial support to third parties is not compulsory in i3. If you don't see a specific need for financial support to third parties, don't just put it in your proposals because it's nice, it's beautiful, and you will get better scores. This is just a possibility. It's one of the mechanisms you can use. And of course, I wish to remind you that the i3 projects are primarily implemented by the consortium partners. We expect that the main investments, the main innovations, they will belong to the consortium partners. And the financial support to third party will only come to complement. But we'll talk about that later. I also want to remind you for the capacity building calls, the CAP2B calls, that the applicants cannot include financial support to third parties in form of cascade funding. So only in the investment calls. Next slide, please. What are the specific rules for the i3 calls? First of all, let's see the funding rate. So for all projects that are implemented under calls published after 2023, the funding rate for financial support to third parties is 100%. For the costs that were published before 2023, this rate is 70%, and for the grants that have already been signed, of course, it can't be changed. It remains 70%. For our future course that will be published in the coming weeks, the funding rate remains 100%. Financial support to third parties is only allowed if it is based on publication of open costs. So you have to plan in your proposal, which hopefully would become later on a grant agreement, that you would apply this financial support to third parties, and you have to publish costs that there must be a competition. You can't just find some nice SMEs that you think that are very knowledgeable, they can really contribute to your investment cases, and you just give them money. No, there must be competition. Costs for financial support to third parties in I3 are allowed only in form of grants. You cannot use prices in I3. The maximum amount for financial support to third parties per third party, per recipient, per SME, may not exceed 60,000 euros. So the maximum in I3 is 60,000 euros. It can be less if you estimate this necessary, or more aligned with the activities that we expect from the SME, but it cannot be more than 60,000 euros. And the total cost for providing financial support to third parties cannot exceed 30% of the total eligible cost. So 30% of all costs for all beneficiaries of the grant of the budget of all beneficiaries of the grant, the financial support to third parties cannot exceed the 30%. Next slide, please. How to use financial support to third parties in I3 calls? Financial support to third parties can and should be used only to support SMEs able to deliver tasks with added value to the project. Don't estimate that the financial support to third parties will bring you exclusively investment cases. No, we expect that the investment cases, as I said, already belong to the consortium partners, and the financial support to third parties recipients would come to contribute with added value. It is instrumental to complement the value chain of the main investors and of the companies that are partners of the consortium. The financial support to third parties would allow you to select small and medium enterprises during the project implementation phase in order to contribute to the investment project by carrying out necessary and missing tasks. Sometimes it's really convenient to have it as an option, because in some cases, when a project starts, we see this from experience, that when the project starts, sometimes we need, like our beneficiaries need to test something further, or there are elements that cannot be foreseen at 100% at the very beginning of the project. So this gives you the possibility to attract partners as financial support to third parties recipients later on, when you would have better pictures for some of the elements of your technical actions. The portfolio of investments is composed by individual sub-projects in a given value chain, complemented by third parties, mainly the end beneficiaries of financial support to third parties. All this cascade funding has to be designed and implemented by the consortium partners. So the idea, the modalities, how it will happen, for what, etc., it should come from the consortium partners. Next slide, please. Here's some figures about, okay, we said that the sub-grant allocated to cascade funding companies cannot exceed 60,000 euros. and again, I want to underline per company, because in some cases you can, for instance, have 2 or 3 SMEs from different regions coming to contribute to a pilot investment case, to a big pilot investment case, and they all work together like in a sub-grant, in a sub-project. Then you don't have to give 60,000 euros per sub-project, but per each sub-beneficiary, meaning per each SME. If you have 3 SMEs, you can go for up to 180,000 euros. The financial support can foresee different amounts according to the type of activity and scale of the proposed innovation project. So it can be 60,000. It can be less if you estimate that the action of the SME would not be that much important for 60,000 euros. The maximum of 30% of total eligible costs can be dedicated to financial support to third parties. This was already said in the previous slide. And the financial support to third parties can contribute to achieve the 70% target. The 70% target, when I say that, I refer to the code text mentioning that at least 70% of the total eligible costs must be allocated to investment in companies with specific focus to SMEs. So as the recipients of the financial support to third parties can be SMEs only under I3, then automatically, like the budget that you would distribute as cascade funding would be included in this 70%, which is very important for us when for ISME and for our colleague from DG Regio when we're monitoring the project's implementation. Next slide, please. And here I will give the floor to my colleague Valentina. I will see you later with some more tips. Thank you.
Thank you, Milena. So my role in this presentation is to explain you the specific approach that we have in I3 to the financial support to third parties. Compared with other programs, I3 is a demand-side program where the demand side express the needs. So the needs for advisory support and the needs for cascading support is defined by the main investors that are driving the value chain investments. So it's not something that in which the coordinator define a value chain and then identify the companies during the implementation of the project. This is not the approach that we are looking in I3. We need a core group of investors that represent the demand side, and based on the needs of those investors, the intermediaries that are involved in the proposal can provide advisory support and can design a cascading support mechanism to identify new companies that can complement the main investments. So financial support to third parties must respond to the real needs of the companies that are involved in the consortium. Those needs can help the consortium to solve a specific problem emerging during the demonstration process. As you know, I3 is an instrument that is trying to de-risk investment in companies, basically demonstrating small scale and large scale in real environment the validity of certain solution or certain products, certain technologies, certain services. And so for this reason, the purpose of the financial support to third party must be closely related to the main activities that are implemented by the companies in the framework of the project. I can provide an example. For example, if there is a project on circular economy that is developing a new process for recycling certain materials, the object of the cascading call can be related to removing, for example, some dust that is generated during the mechanical recycling process. But we will listen later on some testimonials from running projects and from beneficiaries of financial support to third parties that can explain a little bit better this aspect. Next slide, please. Always remind that both the advisory support and the financial support to third parties should be related to the main value chain investments or to the demand generated by the companies involved in the consortium. This is why the use of financial support to third parties must be justified in the proposal. One of the criterion that the evaluators use to score your project, in particular on the criterion cost efficiency, is also the fact that the use of financial support to third parties is justified. So it's really related to the core of the proposal. Next slide, please. The main points to keep in mind implementing financial support to third parties are, first of all, the needs of the main investors. Who are the main investors in your project? The companies that you are identified upfront in the framework of the different segments of the value chain. The needs of selected value chain. So in a framework of value chain, you have, during the project preparation, you have done a market analysis, you have identified the different needs of the specific value chain. So also the financial support to third parties need to be somehow related to those needs pre-identified. The other aspect is about interconnection between the needs of the main investor with the solutions that the cascading companies can offer. So again, here you see the demand side aspect and this interconnection between needs and solution provided by the beneficiary of cascading funding. Fourth point is about interconnection between the innovative products and processes and solutions that are developed in the project and the exploitation of those solutions that are generated by cascading companies. So here, the connection with the cascading company is on exploitation. So based on results developed in the project, cascading funding is used to maximize the exploitation of the project results and to generate new sub-value chains or new applications of the same solution to different value chains. And last point is about the fact that the financial support to third-party budget need to be spent for the benefit of the companies involved in the consortium. So this is another key element. You cannot imagine a mechanism of financial support to third parties to redistribute the budget allocated to a certain number of companies that can be part of a cluster organization that is partner of the consortium. No, because this is not in the spirit of I3. The financial support provided to cascading companies need to benefit the main investors that are already identified in the proposal and that are related to the different segments of the value chain. For this reason, the technical specification for financial support to third parties called should be defined by those companies already involved in the consortium. Next slide. Here are some examples. We mentioned at the beginning the fact that I3 is about de-risking investment, so helping companies to go through the demonstration and the validation of new product and processes in a real environment. So all those financial support to third parties can also be used for testing and optimizing products, production processes and solution, but also for exploring new processing technologies that are related to the core of the project, or for small-scale product validation, testing and piloting activities in companies, or again, as I mentioned before, for exploitation activities related to innovative investments that are implemented by the project beneficiaries. And last but not least, financial support to third parties can also be used for market replication. So all those things on the left side are allowed in I3 and welcome in the framework of the cascading calls. What is not allowed are, for example, travel vouchers, sub-grants for soft advisory services not linked to the main project investments, prizes, fellowships, contribution for the participation to trade fairs or to matchmaking events, voucher for study visit. All those things can be important for developing an investment, but are more activities that can be imagined in the framework of a capacity building project, not under an investment project. Under an investment project, we assume that the learning and connect phase of the methodology of the I3 methodology is already completed, and we only focus on investments. This is why also the cascading support is given to companies that complement value chain and investments that are already identified. So those activities are not eligible, are not allowed, and also you need to avoid to foresee this sort of activities. Next slide, please. There are three, I have tried to identify three main approaches in financial support to third parties as good examples. The first one is the challenge-driven approach. The challenge-driven approach is when the cascading funding schemes is coherent with the priorities of the project, and it is organized in challenges addressed by the SMEs involved in the consortium and implementing the investment project. Collaborative projects can be proposed by, in order to respond to the challenges that are identified by the consortium, cascading companies can propose collaborative projects, as Milena was mentioning before, proposed by two or more cascading companies that are encouraged to work together. This reinforces the European added value. The challenge-driven approach, a concrete example of challenge-driven approach is again the example that I mentioned before. In the framework of a project, of a new production process, a new recycling process, there is dust that is generated by the process. The challenge-driven approach can be, I ask for solutions to reduce at least 10% of the dust generated in the framework of the production process, recycling process. So this can be an example of challenge-driven approach, and is welcome because it's contributing to solve a problem that emerged during the implementation of the project. Next slide, please. The other two examples, the other two approaches is the demand-driven approach and the approach oriented to the exploitation. The demand-driven approach is when the financial support is justified by the needs of the main investors. It means, for example, providing a cascading company providing help or new testing solution for small-scale demonstration or exploring the feasibility of certain solutions, or for the optimization of solution at ITRL level. Some examples of this demand-driven approach can be, for example, in the framework of the process again, novel strategies for testing solutions, or new application for developing for manufacturing a new product, using, for example, injection molding in different sectors, etc. But again, in this demand-driven approach, is the company that faces a specific challenge, demonstrating in a real environment a certain solution in its own facility that express a need that a cascading company can solve. We have an example, for example, in a project where one of the main investors is asking for support to optimize the digital twinning that they are developing in the project. This is a concrete example of demand-driven approach where the need for this optimization is defined by the main beneficiary of the investment. And the last point, the exploitation approach, the exploitation-driven approach, is when financial support to third parties is oriented to the exploitation of project results and the market replication. Here, the cascading funding is used to support testing in the framework of exploitation cases that are identified in the framework of the project. So the financial support can foresee different amounts depending on the type of activity and the scale of the proposed innovation project. For example, again, if this solution, exploitation solution, is proposed by 3 companies, we can give up to 60K per company. So this allows having a collaborative project to have a critical mass of resources for these exploitation cases. Next slide, please. An example of a bad example is I call it coffee for all approach. For example, where the cascading funding is used to give travel vouchers to companies in order to allow them to participate, to attend study visit, matchmaking events, training activities, or coaching activities. This is something that is not in line with the call conditions, the call requirement, the call spirit, because first of all, because of the small amounts that are given to companies, there is the impact is very limited. So we would like to see the resources allocated to financial support to third parties to produce a real impact on the value chain, a real impact on the concrete investment that are supported in the project. Another aspect is that when there is a lack of complementarity with the main investments that are led by the project beneficiary or operating in value chains, sub-value chains other than those targeted by the project. So this is something that is also not good. So it's important that the project has a focus on a certain value chain pre-identified at the proposal stage and supported by a market analysis. So also the financial support to third party need to be complementary with this vision that is proposed by the project. Next slide. The main points to keep in mind in financial support to third party are basically the financial support to third party cannot be seen as an indirect way to redistribute money to companies or to obtain funding for usual business in intermediary organizations. What I want to mention here is the case of some projects where we see digital innovation hubs applying that tend to propose in the framework of I3 some support services that are already foreseen in the spirit of digital innovation hubs. And in this case, I would like to warn you that we need to avoid the risk of double funding. And also, you need to know that if you want to offer support services, those support services need to be budgeted as staff costs, not as financial support to third parties. Next slide, please. The main points to keep in mind on the role of intermediaries is that the intermediaries managing cascading funding have a role to provide services to cascading companies, but they do not have to provide services to cascading companies, but they need to select to select the cascading companies that can maximize the exploitation opportunities of the innovative solutions that are developed by the project with a view of commercializing and upscaling those solutions. And also, the other important aspect is that they need to provide financial support to cascading companies that are complementing the value chain of the main investors. This is the main role of intermediaries. Next slide. The target of cascading companies are, the cascading calls are the recipient that are SMEs, as Milena was mentioning at the beginning, that are established in regions covered by the consortium. This was the requirement until last year, but starting from this year, we also allow cascading companies to be recruited all over the EU. So be aware that the conditions on the beneficiaries of cascading calls are changed in May 2025. So if the cascading call was launched is referred to projects that were granted under the previous calls, the recipient must be established in regions covered by the consortium, or in less developed region, or in outermost regions. So this, the reason for this change is that we realized that value chains do not have borders, and it's not in the interest of the project to limit the possibility to participate to the cascading calls only to the companies established in the regions belonging to the consortium. Sometimes simply because the regions are very small, with the small number of regions of companies, and also in terms of exploitation, they can be a limitation for the project rather than a benefit. Next slide, please. So condition for providing financial support in I3 projects. The proposal must clearly specify why the financial support to third parties is needed, so the justification, the how it will be managed, the scheme will be managed, the implementation modalities, what are the estimated proportion of financial support to third parties that will be allocated to the various type of regions, more developed, less developed, or transition regions. The results to be obtained, this is another important aspect. It's not just redistributing the money, it's about providing financial support in order to get something back from the beneficiaries, and for the benefit of the main investors, for the benefit of the value chain pre-identified. And the last point is about the fact that the list of the different type of activities for which a third party may receive financial support must be clearly indicated in the call text, eventually also supported by technical specification that can be an annex to the call text. Next slide. The call for financial support to third party must be open, published widely, and conform to EU standards concerning transparency, equal treatment, conflict of interest, and confidentiality. This is very important. So the openness, if you are a cluster organization, you can not only open the call for your members, but you need to open it broadly, and any company must have the possibility to apply, and you will have to evaluate the proposal received according to transparent rules and with independent evaluators. The call must remain open at least 2 months to give the possibility to cascading companies to apply, to have sufficient time to elaborate a proposal, and the outcome, of course, need to be published on participants' website, including the description of the selected project, the award dates, the project duration, the final recipient legal names, including the countries and the regions from which they are applying. And last but not least, the call must have a clear European dimension and need to contribute to the objective of the project. This European dimension is important. The cascading calls, even if they have to prepare a small application, they need, in the relevance part, they need to explain what is the European dimension of this proposal and the European added value for what they are developing. Next slide. This one is for Milena, that will take over the presentation.
Thank you, Valentina. As I said, I prepared some tips from past experiences with you, but before going to them, I wish to attract your attention to two articles of the Model Grant Agreement. The Model Grant Agreement is a document that is available as part of the open calls documentation on the funding and tender portals. So don't hesitate to consult it. So yeah, there are two articles, Article 6 and Article 9. That are really important for financial support to third parties. Article 6 is about the eligibility of the costs that would incur as cascade funding, because you can spend money for financial support to third parties, but of course you want them to be eligible. So how to make sure that this money is these costs can be reported as eligible costs? Well, there are two things. The first one is that the cost must be complied with the general eligibility conditions, and here I can remind you that there is a set. It's also in this article. I just didn't copy paste the whole article, but what are the general eligibility conditions? The cost must be actually incurred, not just estimated. They must be incurred in the period set in the grant agreement, meaning that they must incur before the end date of the grant. So when you estimate to give financial support to third parties, you have to distribute it bank to bank transfer to the SMEs before the end date of the grant. This is really important. They must be declared in the planned cost categories. Okay, if you plan financial support to third parties, you will go for financial support to third parties cost category. You can't plan something in subcontracting and then suddenly decide to put it as a declared cost in financial support to third parties. The cost must be in connection with the action. They must be identifiable and verifiable, meaning that you have to keep trace of all these transfers to the SMEs that you would do. They have to be recorded in your accountings, obviously. They must be compliant with national law. This is also very important. Make sure always to comply with national law. It's not because you have an I3 project that you can deviate from your own national obligations. And they must be reasonable and justified. So this is the first set of things that of elements that comes as a condition for your cost to be eligible. But then there is a second set with elements which you can find here in the slides, and this article says that all these elements, all these 5 elements, they must be in the Annex 1 to your grant agreement. What is Annex 1 to your grant agreement? Is the technical part. Again, it comes from the proposal. So think well when you prepare your proposal, because then it will become Annex 1, and what you have promised to do in the proposal, then you have comply with it later on in order to make sure that your costs are eligible. So what are this second set of elements? First of all, of course, as we already said, the maximum grant amount must be mentioned. For I3 is easy. We said already up to 60,000 euros. Can be less, can't be more. The second thing is the criteria for calculating the exact amount of financial support. Here you will have to make a choice between providing lump sums or reimbursing actual costs. We will come later in the next slides with some advices on it. Another important point, the different types of activities that qualify for financial support. Well, the call text already, our call texts, they already provide a lot of examples for eligible activities. Valentina also mentioned many of them: testing, large-scale demonstration, validation, market replication, etc. But you have to define a list of these activities in your proposals. The different types the persons or categories of persons that will be supported. Well, as Valentina said, your recipients of financial support can be only SMEs. Until now, it was either only from regions covered by the consortium partners. Later on in the course, as from 2023, it was also possible for other less developed regions or outermost regions. From now on, as Valentina said, in 2000, the course that will be published this year, it will be more open. It will be all SMEs that are established in the EU. And last but not least, the criteria and procedures for giving the financial support. There should be some rules that you have to describe in your proposal when preparing your proposals. What criteria you would apply, what will be the scores that you will give per criterion. Would there be any weighting? How are you going to do some financial capacity checks, some operational capacity checks, how you will do them, what you will do if two of your proposals for sub-project get the same scores, which one would be privileged, etc. All this set of rules have to be explained at least briefly in your proposals. Next slide, please. Yeah, and the other article, which is also very important, of course, it's a reminder that your obligations, the obligations that you might have as grantees, as direct beneficiaries to the EU grant, many of these obligations will be extended to the recipients of the financial support to third parties, with particular attention to conflict of interest, confidentiality and security, ethics, visibility of EU funding, providing information, record keeping. All those, they will be the same for your recipients of financial support to third parties, for your SMEs. They also have to be aware that the granting authority, all of the Carta of Auditors, they would have the right to exercise their rights with regard to checks, to audits, etc., also with them. So this is important. Maybe a little bit less now when you prepare a proposal, but much more when you publish your call for financial support to third parties, or when you prepare your contracts with the SMEs, your sub-grant agreements. Next slide, please. The process in a nutshell. So the beneficiaries, the grantees, the EU grantees, they will select the recipients following a published call for proposal. Then comes the selection of recipients, which is based on transparent criteria published in the open calls. The selection may be carried out by in-house or by external independent experts to the consortium. Both. It can be a mixture. It depends on the knowledge that you search for the people who would assess. If it's something very technical, maybe you will need external knowledge. Of course, pay attention here, particular attention to the conflict of interest. And it's not only for external evaluators, but only for internal evaluators of the sub-proposals. Make sure that all of them, they sign a declaration of absence of conflict of interest. This is really important. Yeah. The selected recipients, they will sign agreements with the beneficiaries, not with the granting authority, not with EISME, with you, with our beneficiaries. The sub-granting process always takes a while. It's many of our beneficiaries are too much optimistic when they say, yes, in two weeks we will sign the contract, because your audience is also a difficult audience. Many of the SMEs, they don't have the capacity, they have never participated in such administrative procedures, they want to know more, so think about it. The selected recipients must be paid by the end of the project. As we said, the costs for financial support must to third parties must incur before the end date of the project funded by the EU. Beneficiaries are fully responsible for drafting the code text, the evaluation, selection. We cannot intervene. Our beneficiaries are the masters of their file for financial support to third parties. Of course, we here in the agency try to help our beneficiaries. We always review the codes to be published and make sure that they comply with this compulsory set of elements that we have just seen in the slides before. Next slide, please. Yes, I warmly invite you to go on the funding and tender portal and to consult the page that is dedicated to the calls for funding in Cascade. When you choose the right program, here we are in I3, so when you're choosing the I3 program, you will see all calls that have been already published. This can be very inspirational. I don't say to copy paste, to copy the others, but at least you can see what has already been done, what works well, and this could give you already some ideas or reassuring your own choices. I put a link here, so we'll share, of course, the slides with you, and you can go and see some of the codes. Next slide, please. And here I come to my set of the last 3 slides for the tips and lessons learned from previous projects. When drafting the call, be extremely clear with the mandatory elements. So all these sets of things that we said, the maximum grant amount per participant, who is eligible, who is not eligible, etc. You must be clear. There shouldn't be any misunderstandings, or they shouldn't be filled for interpretations by your own applicants. As project advisor, I receive quite often the question, what should I go for, lump sums or reimbursement of actual costs? There is no magic recipe. Okay, if you provide lump sums, it's an output-based scheme, meaning that you expect some delivery of milestones or of some deliverables, and then you pay your SMEs. Maybe these lump sums, they prove to be managed in an easier way than to receive financial reports from your SMEs for the costs that have really incurred, to receive copies of invoices. This takes a lot of time, and when we think that the maximum amount is 60,000 euros, we don't talk about the extremely important amount here. Maybe it would be wiser to go for lump sum, but again, it depends on the case. It's up to you to decide. Keep in mind, as I already told, the open calls are very time consuming to manage. Don't prepare proposals. I wouldn't advise you to prepare proposals with 10 different open calls for different challenges, etc. 1 or 2 open calls for 2-3 years are absolutely sufficient. Simplify the administrative procedures as much as you can, because okay, as I said, your audience are the SMEs that usually struggle to find time for administration, etc. So it's really important to make it as simple as possible for them. Next slide, please. Involve your legal and financial departments. This is really important because you must comply with national law. So those will be the experts that will give you more advice for it. Reserve the full financial support. This is only an advice. It's not a must, but we advise our beneficiaries to reserve the full FSTP budget from the pre-financing. Why? Because in many cases, at the end of the project, there is a problem of cash flow. You still need to get some money back from the commission, but this will happen only after the final payment, and you don't have money to pay your SMEs. But if you don't pay your SMEs before the end date of the project, then your costs would not be eligible if you pay them later on. So think about it. It's better to reserve the amount. Foresee a budget to pay independent expert evaluators if they come from outside. If they come from inside, you will just declare the relevant cost in staff cost. Assign mentors to the cascading companies to help them. Keep in mind that there are a lot of platforms for open codes for financial support to third parties management. I3 is definitely not here for to finance creation of new platforms. Just try to use something simple or something that already exists. Think about the number of payments to the SMEs. Don't, maybe if you give them only 40,000 euros, don't put a pre-financing plus to interim payments plus final payment. This will be a lot of work for you. Partners in the consortium cannot be beneficiaries. This is something we already said at the very beginning. And let's go to my last slide. Ensure a common understanding within the consortium. This is very important because sometimes one partner thinks that this will be for the needs of pilot one, but then the other one also needs financial support to third parties and there is not enough budget. So since the beginning, everyone in the consortium has to have the same understanding. The evaluation, organize clear and concrete training for your evaluators who will be evaluating the sub-proposals. Try to monitor as much as you can your payments to the SMEs, especially if you have several calls and one SME can participate in several of your calls and benefit from different sub-grants. Make sure that none of them gets more than 60K, because otherwise, like the surplus, what goes above 60K would not be an eligible cost for you and it will have to come from your own budget. Pay attention to data protection, IPR, data protection, very important. As you know, for our grantees, we are the data controllers of the information we collect from our beneficiaries, but for your SMEs, you are the data controllers, so you are the responsible ones if there is eventually leak of personal information or something. And of course, keep good communication with the SMEs, because then later on they will become the ambassadors of your success. This is all from me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Milena, and thank you so much, Valentina, for your insightful presentation. So now, considering being conscious of the time, I would like to start immediately to leave the floor to the three project representative, to the representative of the three projects. So I kindly ask the speakers to explain possibly in 5 minutes so that we can leave a little bit of space for the discussion. So in 5 minutes, I ask you to present the project and in specific the FSTP application, and possibly linking your case studies, your cases, your implementation actions to the different tips and suggestions and challenges which have been put in evidence by Valentina, Pina, and by Ismail. So if you agree, I would like to leave the floor immediately to the representative of DEREMCO, and I will leave the floor to Marco Diani from the Polytechnic from Ano. So we will start with InShape, sorry. So let's leave the floor to Axio and to the Generalitat de Catalunya. And in particular, I will leave the floor to Paula. Wait a minute.
Hello. Yes,
are you ready? So you're already unmuted. Great. Sorry, Paula. Are you ready?
Yes, but we have problems with the camera. I don't know if you can start us our video, and if not, because
we have already. I don't know why.
So it's fine. It's fine. You can see the presentation, so it's perfect.
The presentation is now online, and just before you start, there are some questions which have not yet been answered and partly are already been answered by the previous speakers. So we will deal with them after the three presentation of the three projects because time is running and we have not a lot of time before 3:30. So I leave the floor to Paula and Angel from Axiom. Please.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting us to this workshop. We would like to present InShape. Next, okay. InShape, in fact, it's a project that is a European network of innovation hubs. So the main objective of the project is to promote health, vitality, and sports innovation. This it's made through a collaborative framework involving several regions. In that case, it's 5 European regions, and in total we have 21 partners. Next slide, please. Yeah, exactly, 21 partners. Here you can see the partners that are not SMEs, but then we have partners that are SMEs as well. That's, yes. The project objectives mainly are flagship SMEs investment, that we pretend to invest in 6 flagship SMEs that are, these SMEs are incorporated in the partnership, so are members of the project. So they cannot apply to the Cascade funding. And well, we want to address their needs and assist them in reaching market readiness because the SMEs involved in the open call or as partners should propose solutions from tier 6 to tier 9. Then the other 3 objectives are, well, it's the previous slide. New investment cases, digitalization, and international innovation hub. This last one is very important for us because at the end it's a core of the project. So we want to further develop and strengthen this interregional innovation ecosystem that we are promoting through the project in sports and technology. So we want that this pave the way to self-sustainable this interregional European digital hub in these fields. If we talk about the open call, what we want is to support the creation of interregional European consortia of SMEs to commercialize and scale up innovative products and services that promote, as mentioned before in the previous slides, active and healthy lifestyles. I heard that Valentina mentioned that now the open calls, all EU, so SMEs from all EU countries can apply. In that case, only SMEs from the regions that are involved in the project. Next slide, please. To address the challenges, we targeted 4 areas: work, school, public space, and sport, and you can see. And in these areas, for example, for work, the challenges are emotional and physical health, corporate games, environments, products and technology for workplace. And school, and you can see the difference between work and school. Challenges are healthy lifestyles among youngsters and sports participation. So the challenges are more specific than the areas, and it's easier to the SMEs that wants to apply to the open call to address their innovations. The timelet that we put here is the timelet for the open call. Then we have another timelet that is until the end of August that also reflects the publication of results, the signature of the collaboration agreements, and the implementation of I3 collaborative projects. Now we are in the phase of evaluating the project proposals submitted. So I cannot give you any kind of information of the project proposals at that stage. And well, yes, if someone wants more information, it will be published in the project website. by the end of August, or even, no, by the end of June, I imagine. Next slide, please. Just to finalize, as mentioned in the, as Roberta mentioned, what we have done is like a kind of effort to summarize the feedback that we have received for the open calls in I3 projects, not only in InShape, also we have another project called CESAM that actually is also partner. And the main feedback that we have received is that it's very important to have a well-structured and quality platform, because this is key when you manage several project proposals. It is also important to have a tool for evaluation and assess the project. And other thing that we had problems is that as the use of English it's compulsory, this can be a barrier for some SMEs of certain regions to apply for the Cascade funding. And then another issue also is that when we want to increase participation and representation of different regions, it is very important to have and to implement a good communication and dissemination plan. Next slide, please. And well, this is the other part of the feedbacks that we have received, that when we prepare the calls, the topics and challenges, it's important to bear in mind that general information could make candidates doubt whether they can apply or not. So it's very important to make the descriptions appropriate to the challenges and need. So if someone wants more information, you can download the terms of references that are in the website, and you will see how we have addressed it and how we have made these descriptions. And finally, it is also important that candidates know exactly what are the evaluation criteria, because at the end, it's what the evaluators are going to use. So it's important to explain clearly the different aspects that will be assessed, so they can submit competitive project proposals. In this regard, it is also important, of course, to create a technical support office to help candidates to solve questions and doubts. And that this kind of support, it's quite fast and efficient, because the weeks that the call is open are not, it's two months. I think that we have
2 months.
2 months, exactly, for some cases. So it's not a lot. If we take a lot to answer their questions, this can generate difficulties as well. And well, yeah, key project partners and stakeholders could be included in this kind of support. It's an opinion that we have. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula and Angel. And let's invite kindly the Professor Marco Diani to make the presentation of the REMCO project. I leave you the floor, please.
I will give you a presentation. I'm Marco Diani, first of all, from the Mechanical Department of Politecnico di Milano. I will give you a presentation of the REMCO project together with my colleagues Adelaide Moscatelli from Meta and Gianpaolo De Blasis, that is one of our open call winner, that will show you some examples. I will try to have this introductory part very fast to try to recover some time. First of all, the REMCO project started from a specific needs, from a specific problem, that is the one of composites, in particular end-of-life composites. Composites are materials that are used in several sectors. One of the sectors that is only one part of the entire composite field is wind blades, as an example. And take into account that wind blades, it is predicted that by the end of this year, 70,000 tons of post-use blades will be decommissioned. And so the recycling of these wind blades is really a necessity, but it's also an opportunity. So from this born the Derenco project that lasts 3 years, and we are now in our last year of the project, and involved 30 partners from seven new countries. Next slide, please. And it's based on two very important approaches. The first one is the so-called cross-sectoral approach. You take the product from one sector, you treat it and reuse the material in another sector, but with high added value. And the second one is the one that already have been cited by Valentina too, that is fundamental, in particular for these materials, that is the demand-driven, means that we were able to reverse the standard value chain, the standard recycling value chain, transforming it in a pull system, starting from the product that we want to produce with recycled material. And from this product, understanding the properties of the materials, and so optimizing our reprocessing and recycling processes to obtain this material. Next slide, please. Considering the Derenco's value chain, it is possible, that is represented in this slide, it is possible to see the connection among the partners and the importance of implementing the demand-driven approach that I showed you before. Starting from the reprocessors or the end users, and in particular on the needs of the reprocessors, it was possible to come back to all the different steps of the value chain, optimizing and improving them. And from this, a need arises. In particular, was the necessity to extend the value chain, opening and enlarging the demand in the same regions and in new regions, also considering less developed ones. And for these reasons, we defined the open calls, but my colleague Adelaide Moscatelli will tell you more about the open calls. So if you agree, I will skip the next two slides and give directly the floor to Adelaide to try to save some time. So yes, please, Adelaide.
Thank you, Marco. Hello, everyone. So let's start with the objective of the Derenco open call. So as already anticipated by Valentina and by Marco as well, Derenco is a demand-driven project. So this means that the demand led the process. What we did is try to engage with SMEs along the value chain to find innovative solution to the partners' challenges. Starting from here, we identified 3 areas, which are input, process, and output, which will be the complementary technologies or materials or solution as well for the output to cover all the value chain that Derenco is assessing. Next slide, please. So due to the big amount of budget that we had, we decided to have 2 open calls, which we split it into. The first open call where the maximum of the minimum of the open calls, the beneficiary that we could involve in the process were 11. In the second one will be 10 because we are ongoing. So we limited the consortia of 3 main SMEs working in it, as we evaluated this as more manageable, also for the mentors that are involved in the process. The project were 100% funded by the financial support third parties. Of course, as we are in the first call of the I3, we had the 70% covered by the European Commission, and then the 30% covered by the project group. Then I will explain later the problematic you might face. Really important to have a web page dedicated only exclusively to the open calls. and where the possible applicants can find anything to templates and dates and as much information as you can. Next slide, please. So the eligible activities were covered. Really important to be as much clear as possible. Also here, we made this short list to also give an overview to the possible applicants. Next slides, please. Okay, thank you. And we had, so these two calls. The second one is under evaluation, so I cannot give you many details, but the first one, we funded 8 projects in which were involved 11 SMEs. Really important is to have the mentors. Most important is if you are in a technical project, really try to be focused on the mentors, because they will be your contact point if you're managing the funding. Also because many applicants, in my case, were really on the mechanical things, so you have your contact point which can help you on the managing. The 6 projects were really important. So 6 projects out of 8 were really important because they were the ones who did the output. So the one specific things that will go to the market in following years, and this was contributing as well to maximize the exploitation of the project as well. Next slides, please. Okay, so we are in the lesson learned. So the DEREMCO partners were involved since the beginning to the process. And this is really, really important to involve them to also maximize the relevance of the exploitation and the investment opportunities that they will have in the future. Also, regarding the financial support, we are facing the IP management, which could be an issue if you cannot moderate between the 2 parties, as they were co-funded, but I think as well it can exploit the DEREMCO products. Consider a budget to the independent external evaluators, because it's not always as easy to find some evaluators for free. So as already mentioned, a mentor is a clue thing also for the beneficiary. And the timing, consider that the timing, as already anticipated, is really strict. You have to respect very well the due dates and consider at least 4 months from the beginning of the opening of the calls and to the end when you sign the contract with the beneficiaries. I will let Gianpaolo give you a really short presentation of the product, and please, Gianpaolo.
Thank you, Adelaide. Hello, everyone. I am Gianpaolo De Blasis from UNIDIT, a consultancy based in Rome that works in the field of sustainable mobility. UNIDIT is one of the partners involved in the Embrace project, which was selected through the first open call DEREMCO. Embrace project is focused on designing, producing, and testing 8 micromobility prototypes for electric bicycles and for electric scooters. These vehicles are being developed using both traditional composite materials and recycled materials supplied by the DEREMCO partners, which are used in some structural areas of the frame of the vehicles. For each vehicle type, as you see in the slide, we are developing 2 models with standard composites and 2 models using the Remcos recycled materials, because this approach allows us to compare materials and assess their feasibility in micromobility applications. Next slide, please. What makes Embrace particularly valuable is the variety of aspects we are working on, from design and production phase to exploitation. First of all, we are prototyping vehicles that demonstrate the structural suitability of the Remcos materials that will confirm their performance in terms of safety, strength, and durability. At the same time, we are developing and validating production methods, such as pressing and molding techniques that are adapted specifically to work with recycled sheets and woven composites. And then we will soon begin real-world pilot testing in Rome and Brussels in order to collect feedback from users and to evaluate how the vehicles perform in everyday urban conditions. Moreover, we are developing a detailed exploitation strategy to explore the market potential of these vehicles and to eventually support their commercialization, identifying the most promising target markets and potential industrial partners for the after project phase. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you so much to the whole group of represented the Remco project. Now I leave the floor to Adriana Gutierrez Garcia, and I also leave the testimony to Santiago, my colleagues of the I3 facility, because I'm obliged to go and take my flight. Thank you so much. Thank you, Adriana, and please, the floor is yours. Thank you to all the speakers, of course.
Thank you, Roberta, for introducing me, and also thank you to Milena and to Ismea for supporting i4Green. I am Adriana Gutierrez Garcia. I'm an European project manager at the ICAMSIL Foundation. We promote innovation and technological development, focusing on sectors such as mining, energy, or Industry 5.0, always with a perspective of sustainability and circular economy. Today, I'm representing i4Green, that is a 30-month European project that is just coming to an end. Today is the last day of the project, so it's a pleasure to tell you a little bit of our results. The main objective of this project is to promote and enhance the implementation of green, circular, and socially responsible technologies. A key ambition of the project is to reduce Europe's dependency on imports of critical raw materials by developing more sustainable and efficient methods of extraction and processing. To support this mission, 2 industrial pilots have been implemented, and also an open call for SMEs was launched. Within the consortium, we have technological partners, clusters, and ICAMSIL as a foundation and coordinators. Also, we have the support of associated partners such as universities and also government representatives, that is really important for the project. In the next slide, you can see that we have 2 pilots, the Iron Hole Oak pilot that focuses on mineral recovery from iron mining waste with sustainable technologies in Extremadura region, and the Helix pilot to extract raw materials from low-grade ores in Andalusia region. In the next slide, you can see that we launched a cascade funding scheme to support SMEs linked to these 2 industrial pilots. Just some numbers, the total budget was more than 350,000 euros, with an impact of 12 SMEs that they carry out work in different points of the value chain, such as water management, mining operations, recycling, and these projects brought actual real value to these pilots as they gave solutions to their specific needs. In the next slide, you can see that we launched the open call with providing all the necessary documentation for the applicants to fully understand the process and the condition of participation, and you can see in some of the photographs. In the next slide, you can see briefly the evaluation of the proposals that was carried out in 2 different phases with internal evaluators and also as well representative from these 2 pilots. Just a brief overview of the proposals. In the next slide, please. We received a total of 28 applications, most of them, as you can see, from Spanish SMEs, as this was not a surprise, as the pilots are from this country, and 6 projects from Pilot 1 and 6 projects from Pilot 2 were selected. In the next slide, you can see that the project started officially in November 2023. We carry out 2 different evaluation reports with the pilot leaders and also the project coordinators. And the duration of this project was 6 months. Next slide, please. Just some results of the open call. The open call has officially concluded. The SMEs collaborated closely with the industrial pilots, developing innovative products, technologies, solutions, and services, all under the supervision of the i4Green Consortium. As you can see, this initiative brought mutual benefits. The pilots, on the one side, gain access to cutting-edge solutions and services that added value to their operations, while the SMEs had the opportunity to test and implement their innovations in real work environments. They also received direct final support from i4Green. Also, we wanted to highlight that these SMEs were offered the possibility to participate in webinar, B2Bs, and other clustering activities, such as a workshop or investors breakfast, that offering different service to these SMEs. In the next slide, just also some numbers. You can see that the project has concluded with approximately 77% of the total available financial support allocated directly to SMEs. This is really important as this achievement is fully aligned with one of the objectives of the i3 mechanism, which is to foster SME growth and innovation. In the next slide, you can see that the SMEs were really happy with the process, and they also answered that this type of actions is really important to procure innovation. Just also brief information about the challenges that we suffer in the next slide. For instance, unbalanced regional participation, as reaching SMEs in less developed regions prove difficulties. Also language barriers, lack of awareness about these funding opportunities. But to mitigate these issues, the consortium and all partners provided financial process support. Also, we provided continuous mentoring and technical follow-up. Communication with SMEs was also a little bit challenging due to the small teams that they have. But despite all these obstacles, I think that this experience highlighted the importance of this type of actions to involve SMEs in it. And in the last slide, you can see that some of the results of the project. We scale up the 2 industrial pilots, we foster interregional collaboration, and also we prioritize replicability. So that's all about the project. I have just posted some links to the website and LinkedIn account, so just follow us, and if you have any doubt, just please contact me, as I try to be really brief. Thank you all for staying with us.
Thank you so much, Adriana, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adriana. I don't know, Justina, we are 10 minutes over schedule, but given the effort that the presenters have done, I would like to ask for a quick question to the projects. I don't know if someone from the audience want to make it, but I would like to do. Justina is looking at me like, please close. No, when you are launching the calls, what would you do it differently, or what are the key aspects you really think to take into account in when you are launching the calls for the SMEs? I don't know, any of you, Adriana, or someone from the other projects, key aspects when you design the call.
Thank you, Santiago, for your question. I think one of the key points is to think really carefully how this project can bring real value to the innovations, to the pilots. And I think it's really important to make a huge effort, as Milena said in her tips, to try to have a good planification of the different steps that have to be carried out in the open call. And also, I think it's a really important aspect also to try to get to the correct SMEs and to try to involve as much as SMEs as we can.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other reaction from some of the projects or tips, or reinforce something already said in this regard regarding the calls and companies to be attracted?
Yeah, feel free to raise your hand and I can give you permission to speak as well.
All right. There are some questions also to ISMEA, and they are answering, but we will collect them. And but there is also the info day of ISMEA, the 11th of June, right, Valentina? Would you like to add anything or answer to any question that could remain open?
So we replied, me and Milena, to all the questions that were put on the chat. But if there are other issues that participants would like to raise, they can always send them to you, and we will reply, maybe formulating facts. Frequently ask the questions on our portal.
Okay.
Yes, we have one last question in chat, well, maybe last, from Federico, about startups and spin-offs participation in the open calls.
Yes, of course, they are eligible to participate in open calls.
Okay. Thank you. I will leave you I will leave the floor to Justina. But as I said, I think it was a very good presentation in advance before the info day, where many other aspects will be touched upon. But yes, I think it was very good introduction before this info day. Please, Justina. Thank you.
Yes, yes, thank you, Santiago, and thank you so much for all of the speakers and project representatives for finding time today to prepare and present your knowledge and your experience. Session indeed has been immensely informative, and thank you to all of the attendees who joined us to listen to the speakers and to the project. We are at time limit now, so we will close the session. If there's any urgent question you still need answered, feel free to drop it in chat now. We will try our best to get them answered by the speakers, and we'll send the combined answers with a thank you email to those registered to our session. Also, follow the i3 Support Facility website for all of our updates, and register to our database to receive all of our news about upcoming events, virtual events, and other activities. I wish you best of luck and see you all next week in our next virtual event. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.